Good morning, everybody. This is the May 16th, 2024 commission meeting, and we'll open this up to begin the meeting. You're going to take roll, please? Yes, would you please take roll?
Commissioner Chowry?
Here.
Commissioner Curran?
Here.
Commissioner Floyd?
Here.
Commissioner Glenn?
He's not here, so we'll wait. I'm not going to wait. We'll include her in later.
Commissioner Japon Porter?
Here.
Commissioner Hayes?
Here.
Commissioner Miletus?
Here.
Commissioner Warren?
Here.
Chair Doherty?
Here. So we have a quorum. We can continue on. I would entertain a motion for approval of the April 28th, 2024 commission meeting minutes.
Chair,
Commissioner,
I move to approve the April 18th, 2024 commission meeting minutes as written. Second.
Commissioner Chowry?
yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter?
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes?
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Chair Doherty?
Yes, thank you. And now we have Margaret Simpson with the Coquille Tribal Agreement history.
And chairperson.
Are you both coming up?
Ready?
Oh, both of you will come up. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. Can you come over? Oh, I forgot. I'll get them next. I'll do that. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Well, Daisla, greetings, friends. It's good to be here today. Chair Doherty and members of the commission and Director Prince, thank you so much for having us here today. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today and appreciate so much the hospitality we felt today. Again, my name is Brenda Mead. I'm chairman for the Coquille Indian Tribe, the Tribal Council, and I am honored to speak here today on behalf of my tribe and our Tribal Council. Because it is a good day for OLTC in the state of Oregon and my tribe as well. Today, our governments have come together to correct the inequities of the Indian Intercourse Act. But we realize that this is but one task in a very large correction of inequity. It is important to understand that this is about tribal sovereignty, about tribal self-determination. It's about self-governance and self-sufficiency for my tribe. I feel it is important to share with you a little bit of history about the Coquille tribe so that you understand the partnerships that we're creating. My ancestors have lived in what is now known as Southern Oregon and the Southern Oregon coast since time immemorial. For generations, we thrived in our homelands as the steward of those lands, waters, and resources. And we knew that that land gave us everything we needed. In the 18th century, we began to suffer from immense changes that were beyond our control. Our ancestors suffered from disease, forcible removal, cultural genocide, and a dispossession of our ancestral lands. And in 1855, Coquille people signed treaties with this federal government that were never ratified. Promises made, but never kept. After decades of paternalistic treatment by the federal government, not so long ago in 1954, the Congress passed the Western Oregon Termination Act, a law terminating our federal recognition as the people of that land. With a stroke of a pen, the U.S. government, with the state of Oregon's blessings, declared that we were no longer Coquille people, those people of that land, that we were no longer Coquille. But Coquille people are resilient. It's important that you know that. And we stayed strong. Our people organized ourselves and developed a plan to restore federal recognition again. They funded this effort themselves. while always maintaining our Coquille identity. And ultimately, after 35 years of determination era, our efforts paid off. And in 1989, we were the last tribe in Oregon to be restored our federal recognition again by Congress. Once restored, the tribe set forth our work towards self-sufficiency for our tribe and our tribal members as well. Unfortunately, however, virtually all of our lands were taken. This is important to know because as a government, we provide a broad range of important services to our tribal members: healthcare, education, elder care, and to find resources for housing for our people. Since being restored in 1989, though, we have grown to become the second largest employer in Coos County and a key support to our economically challenged communities that we live in. We do serve a 5-county service area per our Restoration Act by Congress. That's Coos County, Curry County, Lane County, Douglas County, and Jackson County, where we own lands and we operate businesses and we serve our people. Most of this success is due to the Mill Casino Hotel and RV Park, which is located on restored reservation lands in North Bend, Oregon. It's important that you know we are nation builders. And for decades now, we have partnered with the OLCC to offer responsible beverage service at the mill. And we have greatly appreciated our work together to make our business a success for our guests. Now we are about to enter a new relationship. 2 years ago, believe it or not, 2 years ago, we requested the OLCC to discuss how the tribe could manufacture and serve distilled alcohol on our reservation lands. Our team had identified a distillery as a natural match for our current offerings, with the potential to create a significant number of new jobs. An opportunity has developed in this space due to changes in antiquated federal law that discriminated against tribally owned distilleries. We were happy to learn, though, that the OLCC was willing to engage with us on this new partnership. And although the negotiations took longer than we had expected, we now have these 2 agreements for your consideration. And before I finish, I would like to acknowledge the efforts of your team, your director, Craig Prince. Thank you so much for your leadership and for being there at those meetings and supporting the team when they were working together through some very hard conversations. Change is hard, but they were willing to continue down that path with us. I also would like to recognize Legislative and Governmental Affairs Director Rosetta Shatkin and Distilled Spirits Program Director Steve Robbins, among several others. There were others, I know. And the Oregon Department of Justice for all of their work. They went into the trenches with us and helped us find a path forward. Finally, at the Oregon Governor's Office, Senior Tribal Affairs Advisor Shana Radford provided beneficial oversight and guidance. The Governor's Office was a huge support for this as we work on government relationships. I am very proud of our team as well. Margaret Simpson, Brett Kenny, and Alan Dale were fearless for us. They knew how important it was, and we will be celebrating their work at our 35th Restoration celebration this year. The Coquille tribe truly appreciates all of this work, and in this new agreement, the opportunity for more conversations. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, and thank you so much for allowing me time to just share some information with you all as your partners. And I am very proud and blessed to be able to introduce as well to you Margaret Simpson, our CEO for the Coquille Economic Development Corporation for the Coquille Indian Tribe. She's also a tribal member and is our CEO for the Mill Casino Hotel and RV Park as one of those key components. So thank you, Chair Liaison. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Chair.
morning.
Appreciate it. Commissioners, does anybody have any questions on this? What's been presented so far? We can just continue on. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for coming here.
All right, good morning. As Chairman said, I'm Margaret Simpson. I'm a citizen of the Coquille Indian Tribe and the CEO of the Coquille Economic Development Corporation, which the mill casino is the largest part of our portfolio. It's great to be here with you today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody's cooperation and coming to the table to get this work done for the tribe. It was great to hear Chair Mead talk about sovereignty, self-determination, and the resilience of the Coquille people. I am a product of that. I am a product of those who came before me and fought for the tribe's rights. I started out busing tables 26 years ago at the very business that I'm the CEO of today. When I began vetting economic opportunities for the tribe about 2 years ago, my focus was on diversifying our amenities, excuse me, within our largest economic resource, the mill casino. As with all destination resorts that are in rural areas, our challenges and opportunities will always be attracting patrons from larger populations to come visit our beautiful homelands, where we can serve these guests with new and travel-worthy amenities. The agreements before you today reflect a significant amount of time, 2 years of dedication from several individuals that Chair Mead mentioned, from the state and tribal entities. I was able to witness this work happen, the diverse experience, the patience and understanding and interpreting laws from sovereign jurisdictions. Kindness, strength, and passion is what brought these landmark agreements that we so proudly present to you today. We are two equal sovereign nations coming together to do good work for Indigenous people and the communities we employ, that we love and we support. This unprecedented achievement we celebrate today is not just about attracting guests. This is about the willingness of the Coquille people to pave a path and to work diligently and respectfully with governments to overcome the injustices of the past and to provide a more prosperous and diverse economic future for our communities. I'm so proud to be here today, and I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? You can entertain a motion then. No,
I think after Rosie and
pardon me?
first Rosie's.
Okay. I don't see any questions. Thank you very much for your presentation. We're so honored to have you here with us. And I hope that some of us can come down and
Chair,
visit you. Yeah.
I'm late in this, but I did want to make a comment. Because what you're saying is also kind of what's been going on, what I've heard this week too. As part of Hells and Rabbit and the Happy Canyon, we hosted the Portland Rose Festival Court in Pendleton, Oregon, at the Confederated Tribes Indian Reservation at the Catholic Cultural Institute. Bobby Connor, the executive director, talked to us as we went through that cultural institute this week. And she said, or last week, I should say, and she talked about some of the same things I'm hearing. But she said, we're going to go through and look at the assimilation and some of the bad parts of, and she says, don't feel sad for us. What I want you to take away is that we are strong, resilient people. And I remember this is what she told Portland Rose Festival Court and all of our visitors that were coming from there, and that we are continuing to move forward and make progress in our economic development. And I thought it was such a powerful message to say, when you see some of these, what are considered parts of our history, look at all of the things that have come through.
Sure.
The adoption statutes, all of those things that have come before us, and we're continuing to make progress. And I see what we're doing today, even though it took a long time, that this is the kind of progress that we're seeing that we want to continue to make. And so I'm so thrilled that all of the hard work that the agency has put on, Director Friends, that we've been able to come together and do this, it's the right thing to do. So I'm happy to be hearing like good messages all around the state. Yeah.
Yeah, Rosie.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
For that, Commissioner.
Thank you. And next, regarding this issue, for the Coquille tribal agreements, Rosie Shatkin is going to come up and, oh, there you are. I couldn't- Hello, Rosie.
Thank you, and Mr. Chair and Commissioners, we've got, Chairman Meeting talked about all the lawyers that worked on this. So you have Karen, just to let you know, your face is extra big on the. So we've got some of those lawyers that have worked with Rosie, and our Steve Robbins was mentioned, or licensing staff. So Commissioners, just for new folks, you've got Karen Clevering, who is DOJ for tribal. You've got our Stacy Postgate, who Stacy worked on as the longest of these three lawyers. And then you've got Brian Quisenberry. And so they're going to walk through with you these agreements. I know you've had time to look at them. So that's your team. Take it away, Rosie.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Rosie Shatkin. I'm Government Relations and Legislative Director and Tribal Liaison. I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to defer to the lawyers, as Craig said, about both agreements, so they can go over some of the bullets in that agreement. But for the most part, as Chair Mead mentioned, this has been about 2 years in the process, and it's really been a great opportunity to learn as we gathered information, in addition to being able to work on the two primary agreements, the intergovernmental agreement that I believe Stacy will discuss, and the FCOM agreement, updating those documents a little bit more so they coincide with the loss today. So I will defer over to Karen and Stacy.
Good morning, Chair Doherty and members of the commission. So I know that you've had an opportunity, or I believe you've had an opportunity to look at the two agreements in front of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. From a high level, really, they are just agreements to support the same type of licensing relationship that you have with any other resident in the state of Oregon, or any resident in Oregon. So what these agreements do is they pave the way so that you have a relationship with the tribe to be able to do the same thing. So you have one agreement, which really just addresses the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink at the casino, which has been happening for years anyhow, pursuant to another agreement that this one will supersede. The second agreement is really the big deal. It looks a lot like what I'll call the FCOM agreement, but that's the one that supports the tribe in their establishment of a distillery. And as you know, this is the first one of its kind. And so the agreements look very similar, but they do support two different businesses. And to give you an example of it, this is not something that's unheard of in the state of Oregon. You already have, the best example is McMenamins, where they have both a restaurant and a hotel and a distillery on the same premises. So what these agreements allow both OLCC and the tribe to do is work together to overcome the differences between Oregon law and tribal sovereignty so that you can, in fact, enforce your licensing. It allows OLCC investigators to go on to the premises, and allows you to work through violations if they happen, and to mediate with the tribe if there's issues or questions that come up. So that's really what those two do. Once the agreements are signed, the tribe is still responsible for applying for a license in the same, like I was saying, like an Oregon resident would be doing. So there's different components of each agreement, and they do look complicated. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions, but I think that's really the high level view of them. You're really just using these documents to put everybody on equal footing so that they can go forward into the licensing phase. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer it, or Karen as well, or Rosie or Brian.
Thank you, Stacy. Karen, did you have any input? Did you?
Thank you, Chair. My input is more general, and I think it echoes a lot of what Chair Mead also said about this agreement. Really, over the 2 years, it demonstrates how much we as the state have learned about the tribe's sovereignty and how they express it and work through it with their agreements. And so that's how this agreement is unique. It's because we were really able to come together to understand the different perspectives. I think we were better positioned to understand the tribe's goals and its objectives. And I think the tribe understood, from the state side, the state's obligations. So, on the whole, I think we've done a lot really good work here, and I'm really appreciative of the tribe's time to educate us and engage in the conversations that we needed to understand the issues at play.
Chair.
Commissioner?
Use my ignorance, however, Stacy, would a country, let's say it's France, have to apply for license to the state of Oregon does the sovereign nation?
Chair Doherty, Commissioner Chapong Porter, the audio is a little funky, so I just want to repeat. Did you just ask if a country like France would have to go through the same licensing or the agreement?
For example, yes.
Well, that would be different. And there's a whole lot of other factors that would have to go on. So you'd have to assume that the country of France that would come into Oregon and build a restaurant and build a distillery and then attempt to get licensed with you. And in that case, I assume that they would be represented by an individual, and then that person would be, they would be subject to all of the same licensing requirements that any Oregon resident would be. The difference here is that you have a sovereign nation, a completely sovereign nation that occupies the same geographical area, but they are not the same government. And so they are not subject to our rules and laws, and they're not necessarily subject to enforcement. And so the agreements allow that relationship to exist, or they create that relationship.
And if I may add to, one of the differences as well is that the Supreme Court has case law about how states and tribes work together on alcohol, whereas I'm not aware of case law and statutes that regulate France, the international agreements kind of that you may be referring to when you were asking about, say, for example, France or Canada. So that is one of the layers that Stacy was referencing, that's unique and specific to how we are engaging in an agreement with the tribe here on this subject matter.
So it wouldn't compromise their sovereignty at all, you're saying?
I think that hoping that it would not, that was a large part of the contract negotiations to ensure that we did not do that. I think it would be different if all of a sudden, there was this part of Oregon that suddenly got carved out and became a territory of France, then maybe we would be having the same kind of discussion. But otherwise they would have a representative here who would be subject to the same rules and laws.
Yeah.
Very good.
Any other questions? I would certainly entertain a motion then for approval of this.
Chair,
Commissioner?
I move that the commission approve the proposed intergovernmental agreement governing liquor licensing and regulation between the Coquille Indian Tribe and the state of Oregon, Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, an intergovernmental agreement governing distillery liquor production and sales between the Coquille Indian Tribe and the state of Oregon, Oregon Liquor Cannabis Commission.
Any further discussion? Do we have a second? Moved to second. All in favor? Well, go ahead and call roll, please.
Commissioner Chowry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hay,
Yes.
Commissioner Melitas.
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Yeah.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. So well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you all for all your work for the year that you've done. Very excited.
Yes. And if it's appropriate, it is traditional for us to gift our visitors, our guests, our friends, if that's all right. Is that okay? Yeah?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think I'm gonna get it.
Do you want to get it up here in front?
Oh, okay, I don't.
All nine.
I wasn't gonna. We will sit back here.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Congrats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
My wife did not dress me for pictures this morning. Who else we want in here?
It's your choice. You're
Well,
going
we can get everybody. I don't think- Let's see. if we can-
No, you don't have to, but
I'm not photogenic.
we could let it. We could stand up, or you could just, Come in.
Let's get the whole.
Yeah.
Right, Kenny, nice try.
Ah, he tried.
What would we do without?
It's
Yeah, I know. I thought I would have stand.
Okay, all the short people in front.
All the short.
First drive in Oregon.
Ready?
Thank you.
Okay, a couple. Or 5. There you go.
Yes. We're gonna pass me the gifts of friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, just a little something.
Here. One.
Oh,
We appreciate you so much. Oh, you're good with it.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, so everybody else, they're not making presentation.
These two are online.
But,
This person is in person.
yeah. No, let's just go on with it.
Been 35 years determination, 35 years. And CEO sitting next to me. Two minutes, sorry.
Yeah, and there's something. So,
Oh.
I mean, those three people are not in the.
Thank you. So I skipped a part this morning. We have, every May, we have the Public Service Award for OLCC Ambassadors of Public Service. And this year we're honoring 3 people, Mark Avent and Surendra Ranawat and Christy Scott with this award. The way this comes about is that people that show external, internal employees that embrace principles such as respect for every individual, continuous improvement, empowering others to create a culture of excellence within the state government. And we want to acknowledge and celebrate those people that do that. These are, I wish they were here. I know Christy Scott, I don't know the other two as well, but always showing the kind of leadership that inspires us and inspires their peers and those that they report to and those that report to them. They're setting the leadership style. And when they do that, they are empowering everybody around them to do the same. And it elevates and like this. And I know I'm very proud of them. I know Christy, she's going to keep getting awards, and I'm sure the others will as well. So this is just an acknowledgement of them, and we're very proud to be part of an organization that has these kind of people in it. So thank you very much to Christy Scott, to Surrender Ranawat, and to Mark Abetz.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes just asked if they were here, and I said, I'll say if they are, they're hiding on purpose.
They're not, no.
This is an award that the governor presents, an ambassador of public service. Mark has been working in the distilled spirits supply chain through all of the transitions that we've been through, making sure that our partnerships throughout that supply chain are getting what they need. And so the focus of this award this year from Governor Kotek is operational excellence. And that's exactly what Mark has exemplified. So Mark, hope you can hear me. Steve's here, his director. And then Surendra and Christy were integral and are integral in CAMP, which is the ongoing project to put our licenses online. Oh my goodness, that's been a lot of work. And phase 1 was rolled out successfully with cannabis licenses. So again, fostering operational excellence is what we're going to focus on. We have a big build, move, and modernize that we're going to be doing. Steve will be giving an update on that. But it just was so appropriate to have these three from these different parts of the agency recognized this way. And so I just wanted to congratulate all three of them. And thank you, Chair, for taking the time on you to recognize them. Thank you.
All right, so next on the agenda, we have Jeff Samuels, are you here? Oh, there's Jeff, thank you. We're talking about the partition of some property here when we sell this property.
Good, that's good.
Oh, Captain McDonald, thank you. Good morning for being here.
Thank you, Chair.
The floor is yours.
So good morning, Chair Doherty, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jeff Samuels and I'm with LCC. I'm the Administrative Services Division Director, so facilities, maintenance, fleet, mail, and that alike. I'm accompanied today by Captain Malcolm McDonald with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. And I'm here today to request the Commission consider formalizing the partition of our West Side headquarters property through the real property conveyance agreement. And this agreement provides the legal framework for the land transfer of our West Side Johnson Creek parcel to Clackamas County at no cost with a reversion clause. And Clackamas County would be responsible for paying for all associated expenses to partition, transfer, and record the transaction. And so, of course, the Commission has provided staff and myself direction as we have moved through this partition discussion. And so today really is just formalizing that. So we can go to the next slide. What you see here on the satellite footage is the outline of our property. And so we're here today, and you can see the on the right there, the headquarters building, kind of the U shape in gray. The black roof is our warehouse. The top of the page is north. You can see that our property is divided by Johnson Creek. So Johnson Creek flows from the top to the bottom of the page. And then, thank you. And then The two white buildings on the sliver portion there, which is the west side parcel that we're describing, those are the buildings that are owned by Clackamas County. We own the land. There's a curved line on the west side parcel, and that's a private railroad. It's the Oregon Pacific Railroad Company. And later you'll hear from Captain McDonald, and he'll provide some details on what the county does on that side and with their buildings. We go to the next slide. I wanted to show you this. Of course, there's some new commission members, and so some of this is background. But what you can see here is Johnson Creek has a floodplain area, and there's some conservation areas. So all the colored areas really non-buildable areas of that property. So when you consider and think about the west side parcel, really more than 50% is unbuildable. And we can go to the next slide. So as far as for history, that green area that we described in that first satellite picture was about 14.5 acres that we own here. The west side parcel is about 3.6. Again, there's got that railroad that goes through it. Clackamas County, we've had a long-term lease with Clackamas County, either a sublease or lease for over 44 years for $1 a year. OLCC, we haven't used that property, for a long. I'm not sure we've ever used the property, to be honest with you. So anyway, with our lease, it's kind of a unique situation. Again, we own the land and Clackamas County owns the buildings. So our lease says that if the lease ends or that we terminate the lease, that really we have two avenues to proceed. One is that OLCC would pay the fair market value to Clackamas County for their buildings, so like buy the buildings. Or that we would ask Clackamas County to remove their buildings and make our land back to original condition. And so neither of those options are in the best interest of the state, county, treatment programs, or the community, as you can imagine. So we can go to the next slide. And Captain McDonald will explain, again, what they're doing on their side of and their buildings. Yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Chair and Commission, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Malcolm McDonald. I'm a captain with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. I oversee our state-funded community corrections program. That includes adult parole and probation, and the programs we have across the way, most notably our Clackamas Substance Abuse Program, referred to as CSAP. I want to thank you for considering the approval of the partition agreement and the opportunity again to speak today about our programs. I will add 27 years ago next month, I started my employment with community corrections in Clackamas County across the way. So, and I've been in this line and working with those programs and adult parole probation my entire career. So this whole process is very, I think, dear to me. To where we're at today and to talk about these programs. I want to highlight that Clackamas County has operated state-funded community corrections program on the McBride property for over 40 years, but we benefited from our long-standing partnership with OLCC and the collaboration and support for those programs and the ongoing support really has been instrumental in their success. And the partition agreement will ensure continued success. I'll take the opportunity to highlight two of our critical programs we operate at the largest building, 9000 McBride. We're proud to offer the Clackamas Substance Abuse Program, referred to as CSAP, which has been providing intensive inpatient substance abuse treatment to high-risk, high-need adults on supervision in Clackamas County for over 25 years. We actually last year had a 25-year anniversary where we had graduates from over the last 25 years come and celebrate and who have helped support that program through the years. This program serves both men and women who on average receive treatment services for 14 to 18 months before graduating the program. Early CSAP represents accumulation of over 4 decades of evolution in community corrections program. And we work with some of the individuals that have some of the most challenges with substance abuse, trauma, and interaction with the criminal justice system. Again, like I say, we focus on their substance abuse and their criminality, And many individuals over the years have graduated successfully. We see on average a 90 to 80% success in the first year with no rearrest. But there's individuals that are pillars in our community operating in various avenues, but specifically I like to highlight avenues in the realm of treatment and recovery at high levels that have benefited from this programming. In addition to CSAP, we provide programming for adults in custody releasing on what's referred to as short-term transitional leave from the Department of Corrections. They start that first 90 days here and transition to recovery-based and wraparound services in the community. The programs in both buildings have primarily been funded by state community corrections dollars, justice reinvestment dollars, and county general fund. But really, over the last 40 years, it has been community corrections state funding that has funded the programs. 9200 was the original building, first community corrections building that the county constructed. The 9000 McBride property actually originally housed trailers that the state operated. I've never seen photos of it. I've only heard about the program, but it was a program where individuals were released from custody for their last 6 months that the state run operated. 9200 was built. Community corrections programs we started running out of there in the 80s. And eventually we took over the trailers. Those trailers were operated as an annex program and then removed, and 9000 was built and opened. And I know during all the evolutions, OLCC was at the table and part of those conversations as we operated and stood up our programs. I want to highlight what 9200 will eventually become. In 2020, we had to consolidate programs and we merged our programs into 9000. So since about 2020 and the beginning of the pandemic, 9200 has been vacant. We have just maintained it so it stayed in good condition and we could build a future program. Like many communities in our state, Clackamas County has many individuals experience mental health and substance use within a substance use crisis, including those who are homeless. Without an easily accessible resource for rapid assessment and stabilization, often these individuals draw the attention of our law enforcement and others, and often jail or hospitalization has been the only option in Clackamas County. With $4 million in state funding, the Behavioral Health Division in Clackamas County Health and Housing and Human Services Department, and in partnership with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, we're going to develop a center, what is we refer to as a model of a 23-hour stabilization center, to better serve community members experience mental health and substance use crisis disorder. So this center is going to house both crisis stabilization program and short-term care program modeling after successful programs we've seen in other communities in the state. The center will provide a safe, supportive environment and compassionate care to address mental health needs in the moment, offering stabilization and connections to medium and long-term supportive services and housing. The objectives are to provide alternative resources to law enforcement, reduce reliance on jail and hospital beds, offer voluntary assessment, stabilization development, effective care plans, and connect individuals to the appropriate levels of care. I really want to thank you for consideration and the support. I really want to thank Director Prinz for his support for the process, in particular Jeff Samuels, as we navigate this process, which started for me in about 2019, and I think Jeff took over sometime in 2020. So again, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the programs or the property.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Jeff.
To go ahead and partition this, what we would have to do first is we have to partition our current property. The current property is 14.5 acres, so we would partition it so there is a west side parcel to provide to the county through a deed, and then having the reversionary clause. So there are some state processes that we have to do. So because of our unique situation over there, us with the land, county with the buildings, there really wasn't an opportunity to put out there to other agencies, to tribes, to the general public that we're looking to liquidate that property. And so the futile act request is required so that we don't have to do that. And DAS approved that in 2021. Of course, we've been bringing this to the commission and the commission has been gratefully providing us direction for the partition plan. And then we also had to go to the Public Lands Advisory Committee. So if the state agency wants to transfer property, then we have to go to PLAC. So we went to PLAC and got their recommendation. So they were in favor of the partition, however, wanted the county to compensate OLCC for that property. Through our discussions and commission approval, we went to request DAS, the DAS director. So if we do something in contrary to the recommendation of PLAC, we have to get DAS director's approval. So at the time, DAS director Katie Kova approved us to go ahead with the partition at no cost to the county paying all fees related to the partition and the transfer, and that there would be a reversionary clause, which we'll cover in a minute. And then also, when the state gets rid of property, we have to make sure that we get a release of the mineral or geothermal rights. And so that we did put an application in, Department of State Lands oversees that program, and they gave us permission to go ahead. We go to the next slide. So that gets us to the real property conveyance agreement that's before us today. It was developed by Department of Justice with assistance from Clackamas County's council. It's really the first step to memorialize the partition and transfer of the west side to Clackamas County. Clackamas County Board of Commissioners has approved this. They signed first, and now it's to you to consider signing. And then once the agreement is signed, then Clackamas County will start the process with the city of Milwaukee for the partition process. And then again, it's going to say that the county is responsible to pay all fees. So we have some DOJ fees. We're currently at about $30,000. So the county would be reimbursing us for that. And then again, this reversionary clause really says that if the county sells the property, or if they transfer use something other than community corrections, law enforcement, substance abuse, rehabilitation, behavioral health, or social services, that at that time, at that change or sale, that they would have to have the property approved, the land appraised, and then provide us a fair market value for that. Slide. So really what that would do by partitioning this, we would have this red box around our east side parcel. The green area depicted would go to the county. But what that does for OLCC additionally, besides all the great behavioral health support, is that, again, we have our warehouse that we're going to have finished in 2026. We're going to move our headquarters to the Portland metro area, most likely in the Portland State Office building, and we'll be able to sell our property without having kind of this strange lease agreement owning, where a new buyer would have to enter into, the same agreement that we have or something similar with the county. So anyway, I would go to the next slide, please. I don't know what Director Trent, if you want to say some more, then we can open up for questions.
I do want to, before we do questions, I think the theme, Chair and member of the commission, is patience today. The tribes have shown a lot of patience over decades, as Karen said, educating us and building this relationship. Captain, you've shown some patience too. And I know for some of you, you're aware of this partition who have been on the commission for a while. So I thank you for your patience. I just wanted to highlight two things. We're in this upstream place where we regulate the front end of alcohol and cannabis to make sure we can do whatever we can to make sure there's not excessive use. And we know that downstream, some folks have co-occurring disorders with mental health disorders, substance use disorders. And so I love this project because it shows that we're a part of that continuum all the way across the state. And Commissioner Hayes knows most of the behavioral health services are mostly provided through the county. The state works to get the money to the local level and the county provides those services. And so for me, this is just really, I love that Clackamas County is building that continuum. We love the current services that are through the criminal justice system, but this really allows us to be a part of Governor Kotek's vision of addressing behavioral health. Obviously it's a crisis, it's a priority area. It allows us to be a part of the continuum of responding to that. It's a very thoughtful approach to have stabilizing centers. The first time the captain said a 23-hour stabilizing center, I was like, what is that? It really is a place for people who are in crisis, literally to have a place to sit with professionals to get back that day when they're in acute crisis and not have to go into the criminal justice system and have a place for that. So it's this continuum, and we're just really glad to be a part of it. And then I want to highlight what Jeff said too, which is this cleans up our property so that in 2026, we can sell our property and use the proceeds to pay down the debt service on the warehouse. It's a significant investment. We want to pay down that debt service as quickly as possible. And so it serves the governor's statewide vision. It serves OLCC's need to get that parcel ready for sale in 2026. And it helps Clackamas County support the needs of our citizens. So thrilled. Thank you for your patience. And I just wanted to give that background.
Thank you, Craig. And thank you both for showing this out to us. I was first thinking we're going to give this thing away, but I think it's an investment into the health and which is one of our top priorities of this community. So, Captain McDonald, what does this give you? Does this give you more power, more ease, more this new program?
So the program itself or the partition, I'll say.
Well, both of them.
Resolving the partition and the lease ensures that our programs are stable. I don't need to consider finding a miracle to relocate them somewhere. The cost of doing that is to me unmanageable. But the 23 hours stabilization is a critical need in our community. Having a place for individuals that are in crisis to go that is a safe place that essentially reroutes them from jail or ER is critical, and it's just as critical as the program we operate next door. As we all know, there's a lack of treatment beds in our community. And we have maintained treatment beds for a specific population that's difficult to treat, but still has been important for 25 years. This 23-hour stabilization is just as critical and will offer Clackamas County and its residents a much needed solution for individuals in crisis in our community. It doesn't exist. For the population that I serve and individuals that are on probation or post prison that are in crisis also, there's very limited resources, and I struggle to make decisions about how to best help them. I've been to Deschutes County has an amazing model for 23-hour stabilization, and there's other communities in the state and around the nation. And it is a resource that I'm very excited to get through the rest of the process and have that open.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your efforts. Commissioners, questions?
Thank you so much. I'm a new member, and I'm a member who has a family member who suffers from mental illness. So my question is there not an opportunity, instead of a partition, is there not an opportunity for the county through government funds or state funds to purchase the OLC property and expand those services and expand the wraparound services to meet the needs of the state, to meet the needs of OLCC, to reduce debt service? Has that been looked at all?
During the process to come up with the $500,000 that for my community corrections budget wasn't an option that I had before. And without impacting the programs that I'm responsible for without taking away from those services or the particularly over the last 2018, watching our community corrections budget decrease, mainly because of our population of individuals under supervision has decreased in Clackamas County, primarily our funding structure. So the funds were just not there for us to consider that piece of it. Does that answer your question, or?
That's unfortunate.
Good question.
How many individuals do you help?
So in the 9,000 McBride building, we have 80 beds. CSAP consists of 60 individuals in the program. And as between 14 and 18 months, the total process, but often they're in-house for the first year. Our treatment services are provided by therapists that we contract to for our health centers, along with our own staff that provide counseling, and they move on into the community and to recovery housing. One key piece to this I'd just like to add is that once you've graduated CSAP, we're there for you. We have individuals that really struggle at times and need the support, and we will have them come back in to receive services. Particularly during the pandemic, we saw a number of individuals. So treatment programs around the country operate differently, and the length of our program is unique, and our commitment to the human is there for the work they do to get through. It's very much not a criminal justice setting. It is somewhat institutional in its field. We've done everything over the years to change that, so it is as therapeutic as can be. But we work with individuals that have a challenging past in the justice system and in their life. So it sometimes takes longer than it would with someone that didn't have those challenges. So we have a lot of flexibility in that. And there's been hundreds and hundreds of people over the years that have benefited from it. And so when you see the success, we have graduation ceremonies. I will offer that if anyone would like to tour the program, I'd be happy for you to do that. I'd be happy for you to be part of a graduation if you would like to. Those are powerful to hear their stories. And then historically, we have graduates speak to this legislative body or during session just to talk about the need to support this work. It is a powerful program, and I know I'm here in uniform and I represent a sheriff's office, but that it is not a jail, it's not a prison, we've done everything to take that out to the best of our ability. So I'd like to stress that, and I'd like to offer again, the opportunity to come and visit. It is, I don't know where your offices are, but you may look over the creek at it. Like I said, my first 2 years, I spent lots of time looking across the creek at OLCC. So,
is it the voluntary program in part?
So voluntary in the sense that they can leave if they choose to, but there would be a consequence. It's often a condition of their probation or their supervision. We work our best to ensure that the environment is such that they want to stay. That transition period between being on the street and using every day to not using every day, or transitioning to a medication assisted treatment, which is part of our treatment program, takes time. And there's a lot that goes on with very complex humans that sometimes they struggle to stay. But it's not a lock. It's locked to keep people from coming in, not locked from getting an opportunity.
Well, I love Victoria, time permitting.
Oh, yes.
But how can you get more money for the program?
So the funding, community corrections funding, every session is a topic of conversation, how we ensure that community corrections dollars go to each county specifically. And that model is based on a very complex budgeting, but to simplify it, there are the number of people on supervision in the state, and then that total amount of money is based on the number of people that are supervised in the county. Another unique part of this program for Clackamas County, community corrections dollars in many communities went to jails, parts of it. In Clackamas County in 1997, the decision was made that that portion of the money would go to our residential programs on the McBride property, and it always has, and that has been lost for the word, but the priority is treatment or an alternative to custody that is not a jail. So those community corrections dollars have not been used to support the jail side of operations. Our population still uses jail space at times, but we wanted that commitment. But state legislators funding community corrections are looking for ways to support the treatment overall. I will say that as we make this treatment a focus in the state of Oregon and do everything we can to improve treatment in the community. So maybe we can divert individuals from entering the system and getting to this point. But also it is important that we provide treatment for individuals that are justice involved that is specific, particularly high-risk individuals. That treatment looks different. They're in someone who has not been heavily involved in the criminal justice system. That's why we focus on a higher risk individual. Often that higher risk means higher trauma, and there's an element of criminality, and there's a long-term addiction. So we have to separate the population. We have to be responsive. Not everyone can receive the same treatment. So it's important to be distinct in how we provide services to individuals, the same way we need to just think about 23-hour stabilization and those in crisis. Far too often, the justice system has been the solution for people in behavioral health crisis, and we need to find a way to stop that. I can tell you, frontline law enforcement do not want to take individuals to jail that are in crisis, but sometimes that's the only option they're left with, and they're looking for a solution that isn't leaving someone on the street, and that's hard.
Well, you have a solution, and I just hope, and I can't speak for everyone else, but you can have my support 100%. I have no power, but you can have my support. But I think that you're correct, that our system is archaic. And I think that anything that you can do, to impress it upon our legislators, I would be in support of.
It's critical we create opportunities for individuals to change. It's the bottom line. Is change is hard for all of us, and we have to reflect on how hard it is for us, how hard it is, how it's even harder for someone in either an addiction or a behavioral health crisis for change to happen without some critical supports. And it does not happen effectively in certain institutions. So we create other opportunities. And Clackamas County has been a leader in that. And again, the McBride property has spent the last 45 years looking for solutions that are new and innovative. So, and that's been, again, the collaboration with the OLCC. So thank you. I will work with Mr. Prinz on, for a tour, and I'm happy to make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
First, thank you for the slideshow and walking us through the bureaucracy. I'm just so happy it worked. And you got through all the glitches. I appreciate that. I also appreciate your comments, Director, about, the start, where we start and where we need to support it. That's right. When we talk about money, a 23-hour center like this, you're going to save resources that can go somewhere else, because when you look at the cost of taking that individual, not only like you said, law enforcement doesn't want to do, but the cost of just going through the process of putting someone in jail for a night when they're in crisis, the cost of that individual and the cost to the system that then isn't spent somewhere else is huge. I'm excited to see how it works in Clackamas County. We've certainly seen it work, like you said, in other counties, and I'm so happy that you're getting it, and absolutely happy that you guys, that everybody through how many years now has got this worked out. Thank you for sticking with it and working through all of that. Looking forward to getting a chance to go about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just one thing, when they leave there, they have lots of options about where to get support.
Yes.
So it would be rehab, clean home or treatments, other treatment, continuing treatment or
Which-
tell me?
Can I clarify which program, or are you speaking to both?
Well, the 24-hour, 23-hour.
Yeah, 23-hour stabilization will work with individuals what the best transition planning will be. It also have a care program built in to allow for like essentially next door or splitting the building and making
Okay,
in a way two unique programs. And so a safe transition place next door if needed, but no one is going to be just left to leave without a plan. Really want to make sure they have the ability to go to where the next safe place is, return home, and a triage process, and transition planning will be part of it.
thank you. Thank you for that. No other questions? I would entertain a motion. Commissioner?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Who made the motion?
Tamiko. For the
I thought
partition.
she seconded. Who made the motion?
I'm sorry, I didn't make a motion. I'm making.
Nobody seconded. Yes.
Should I read the motion?
Yes, please make the motion.
I move that the commission approve the proposed real property conveyance agreement between Clackamas County and the state of Oregon, acting through the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, and that Chair Doherty is authorized to sign this conveyance agreement on behalf of the commission.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? You take the roll, please.
Commissioner Chowry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yeah.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter, Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Miletus,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Good day.
Excellent presentation. Let's come on there, Mayor.
Everything that pops up in terms of-
We're gonna have Amanda come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next, Amanda, oh, there you are. Discuss with us the background update on the DEA rescheduling of cannabis. Yikes.
Thank you.
Could take a couple hours here. so.
Probably not. For the record, my name is Amanda Borup. I'm a policy analyst here at the OLCC. And I'm here to present on the possible rescheduling of marijuana by the federal government. So as Director Prince said earlier, a lot of these presentations have been about patients, and this one's going to be no different. So on April 30th, the Associated Press broke news that the DEA planned to reschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 controlled substance to a Schedule 3. And then the news just went wild. Everybody was reporting on it. However, the rule language hasn't been released yet. So everything that's being reported right now is basically rumors. We are expecting that there will be a proposed rule to reschedule marijuana to a Schedule 3 that will be released at some point in time, but we don't know when that will be. We also don't know what the rule will say. And so there's not a lot at this point in time that we're for sure is going to happen. But there are a couple of things that we do know for sure. If they did propose to move marijuana to a Schedule 3, it would still be legal federally. It would not automatically make marijuana legal. We know that's true. We also know when the federal government proposes a rule change, it's similar to when we propose rule change. They have to go through a public rulemaking process. So people will get to comment on that rule for a specified period of time. When they release the rule, they should say the amount of time that it's going to be, but then they can always extend that based on the amount of comments they get. They also have certain rules about how they have to reply to comments. So this process could take a very long time while they're in the rulemaking process. Then, depending on what comments they get, they can either move forward with the proposed rule or they could modify the rule. And then there's also a chance for people to bring legal challenges to the rule. So as far as the timeline, I wish I had a better answer, but there's really a lot unknown at this point in time. But what we can do and what we do in Oregon with our state is we, keep an eye on it. We try to pay attention to what's going on. We get the most information we can, and then we can make decisions that will help our licensees and help us regulate our licensees in the best possible way. And so I think that that's something that we've shown as an agency through the years. You know, our state law has changed many, many times with regard to marijuana. And then we, as a commission, turn around and change our rules and regulations to best fit the new laws, or we modify rules and regulations to better fit the industry. And so I think this is going to be another example of that, but at a different level. So we'll just work with our stakeholders, with our sister agencies, and then also with our national association, CANRA, to, you know, stay on top of these changes, and then, you know, be able to report back to you and to be able to work to make our system work with whatever is going to happen at the federal level.
Chair.
Yes.
Amanda, explain to folks that are listening that maybe don't know what the difference is between Schedule 1 and Schedule 3.
Yep, so Schedule 3 is considered to be moderate to low potential for physical or psychological dependence. And it's a lower abuse schedule potential than Schedule 1 or Schedule 2. On the DEA's website, they have a couple examples of what are Schedule 3 drugs. So a 90 milligram serving of a product with codeine in it, ketamine and testosterone are all listed on their website as Schedule 3 drugs.
Chair. I just want to clarify, it as a Schedule 3 drug, it would still not allow for interstate commerce of any sort. And that's kind of, I know that's the case, but I just want to put that on the record. We're still not to that point where we're going to be able to.
Definitely our understanding as well.
Amanda, what are some of the other benefits that come with this?
Well, we actually don't know.
If it goes through.
I think we have to wait and see what the actual rule proposal looks like
Okay.
to actually have a better idea of what they're actually proposing to change. Whether it's just moving it or if there's other information that they're going to put inside that proposed rule. We actually, I don't think we can know for sure until we have a chance to read the proposal.
Well, I understand that if it gets to Schedule 3, the pharmaceutical industry is probably going to be fairly interested in this.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and money for research for.
They have written, or some of the articles did say that it would open up possibilities for research.
We're still kind of in the dark on what's going to happen.
We very much are, but we're waiting patiently. Like I said, this is another patience presentation.
Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Amanda, thank you very much for clearing up what you can clear up for us. So, Steve, are you up here? Oh, we're both up here. Nicole and Steve together. We're good. Double teaming us here. Tell us about the vendor allocated products and.
Absolutely. Do you have the slides here?
I'm working on it.
Sure. Well, in the meantime, good morning, Chair Doherty, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Nicole Pexton. I'm the Chief Audit Executive here at OLCC, and I have Distilled Spirits Program Director Steve Robbins with me. He's going to provide the management response to this audit of the distribution of vendor allocated distilled spirits. So, like, we have it on one screen.
It's thinking.
Okay, so you can go to the next slide. So I wanted to start off with a little background for our newer commissioners. So some distilled spirits have a vendor allocated status, and that means that vendors can propose the liquor stores that receive these products, and they can be rare or highly sought after. The thing like Pappy Van Winkle is, you know, the example that comes to mind for most. In 2018, OLCC started chance to purchase drawings, and these gave the public the opportunity to purchase these vendor allocated products instead of going to a liquor store and hoping that it's there. And as part of that, we set aside a safety stock of bottles in case of breakage or shipment errors. So the chance to purchase winners could be assured that they would receive the bottles that they won. Go to the next slide. So in May of 2023, OLCC adopted a vendor allocated distilled spirits distribution policy. And this policy prevented employees from obtaining vendor allocated products for themselves or others. It also specifically prohibited employees from accessing that safety stock. There were some other requirements. In addition, the policy required a distribution plan for each vendor allocated product, and I'll go into a little more detail on that in a minute. It also required that all vendor allocated products be distributed consistent with that plan. And it also required an annual audit of the distribution of those products to be presented to the commission, which is why I'm here today. Next slide. So the objectives of this audit were to, and they stay really close to the policy, they were to determine whether distribution plans were created for each vendor allocated product and whether those plans met policy requirements, to determine whether the distribution of vendor allocated products aligned with the plans, and then recommend improvements to the distribution process. And the scope was records of the plans and the actual shipments of those products in the 2023 calendar year. Next slide. So these are, I'm going to share very high level results. I'm happy to answer questions. I'll go over the top 3 bullet points in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. So the first big finding was that some products were missing distribution plans. The plans did not align with the policy requirements, and shipment did not always match the plans. So, this doesn't paint a great picture up front, but there are some kind of context that I want to provide. And part of this is that the policy was not fully implemented until 2024, and I think Steve might speak a bit more to that. But I want to emphasize that we didn't hold a chance to purchase drawing in 2023. So as a result, there was no safety stock set aside, which means the actual risk here is minimal. Employees wouldn't be able to access safety stock that didn't exist. So I just, wanted to provide that context. Although this audit did show the need to improve our tracking processes now that the chance to purchase has resumed, and I think a lot of that work is already underway. So the first kind of big finding was that some products were missing plans. So I identified kind of 150 kind of distinct vendor allocated item codes, and out of those, 51 were missing distribution plans. And because the policy was implemented late, staff kind of had to cobble together records from the previous year, and these were mostly kind of vendor provided spreadsheets that said, where these products were going to go. So you can see about a third of those were missing, the kind of light blue section on the right of the graph there. Next slide. So the reasons for those missing plans, some of them just may have been lost. They were sent to multiple email addresses, including a few of staff who no longer work for OLCC. So it's possible some got, buried or lost in inboxes. I also heard from staff that these products can arrive at the warehouse without a plan and sit there for sometimes for months. So they just might have not had a plan in place. The solutions here are to centralize intake to a single generic email address. That way, it doesn't get buried in anyone's inbox. It doesn't get impacted by employee turnover. It's just all going to a single place. Also, to regularly reconcile distribution plans with the product received, so that prevents that issue of product kind of arriving without a plan. Just there's a check in place to make sure there's plans for everything that we have. Next slide. So this is the second kind of bucket of findings, and that the plans did not align with the policy. Policy kind of laid out some specific requirements for distribution plans to set out the quantity of product allocated to both liquor stores, including location, the chance to purchase program, and safety stock. So all the plans I reviewed included liquor store allocations, but few included chance to purchase or safety stock. And the reason for that is that they came in all different formats because the vendors basically chose how they submitted it. So some included placeholders for chance to purchase, some didn't. So that makes the solution pretty straightforward here, which is to develop a standard OLCC template for those plans. And then to improve tracking, also include when those distribution plans were approved. That helps match them with shipments later in the process. And then who approved them so that we know who to contact if there's any questions. This is our third kind of area of findings. That's that the shipment totals did not always match the plans. So you remember I found 150 products. Out of those, 99 had plans in place. And out of that 99, the total quantity shipped differed from the plan for 46 of them. So a little bit less than half had kind of different overall totals than what was in the plan. Next slide. And it's difficult to pinpoint the reason for these discrepancies. So there's many possible reasons. One is that the plans may not cover all of the product received in 2023, especially if we received it multiple times throughout the year. It might cover January, but not May, for example. In a few cases, vendor samples were pulled, a case or two that weren't included in the distribution plan, and it caused the overall totals not to match. I also heard from staff that shipments are manually entered into one of our homegrown apps that runs the warehouse. And of course, anytime you're manually entering data, there's a risk of a data entry error. These shipments are also often included in what we call repacks, which is where small quantities of different products are put together in a single case. And as you can imagine, this is a really labor and time intensive process. So it's staff shortages or inclement weather, these shipments can get canceled. Once they're canceled, the products have to be re-entered, which of course increases the risk of errors again. So the solution here is to regularly reconcile the shipments with the plans. So make sure that what we're shipping matches what we planned. And as you're doing that, investigate causes of any discrepancies and develop a plan to prevent them from recurring. And then finally, because of the public interest in these products, I'm recommending separating roles and responsibilities to provide some extra checks and balances based on the concept of segregation of duties in the financial world. So it ensures that no one person has kind of custody of the product throughout the entire process. So in essence, one person approves the distribution plan, another person enters it into the system for shipment, and then a third conducts any reconciliations. These are my recommendations. We've pretty much talked through them all. So centralize intake to a single email address, develop a standard format on a regular basis, determine whether plans are in place for all bottles received. Also on a regular basis, reconcile shipment reports with plans, and then finally designate separate roles and responsibilities for approving plans, entering them in the system for shipment and reconciliation. Next slide. And I'm going to pass it off to Steve in a moment to discuss the management response. But first, I wanted to thank his team for their collaboration during this audit. And I also wanted to note that they agreed with all of the recommendations, but I'll let Steve comment further.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Nicole? Yes,
Chair.
Commissioner.
Does this add, when I'm listening to this, does this add an extra burden for the warehouse workers to have to, especially with these smaller shipments, to keep track of things? Is that real? I don't know, is that realistic to put that burden on them, the cost benefit of that?
I mean, it does take time. I think you're right. And you always, with any kind of control and auditing, you have to balance the cost of it against the benefit. I think the benefit here is kind of increasing public trust, given how these products were handled in the past. So, and I think once these tracking systems are in place, it will become easier and it will become less burdensome, especially when we get new software, hopefully. So you're right, there is a cost to adding additional tracking, but it's kind of a management decision, whether it balances with the cost and
not having it too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That was just my next question was, is there, and it sounds like the software might help with that. Is there something else that we can do to make it streamlined a little bit more, or don't know if that's the right word for it, but.
I'll let Steve,
Chair Doherty, members of the commission, for the record, Steve Robbins from the Distilled Spirits Program Director. The answer to that is yes. There are a number of things I'm going to go through in my presentation, some of the things we're doing in the meantime to kind of cover that gap, because clearly, and I'll refer to this as well, the anticipated software solutions that are coming are going to make this a whole lot easier. Okay, all right, great, thank you. I would also like to thank Nicole for her work on this. Very, very helpful for us in our program to better understand the way processes work down in the granular level. and as she mentioned, I completely agree with all the recommendations that she had, and we're already in the process of implementing those. I would also just add, in addition to just the help in understanding our process, this was very helpful for our division in understanding audits and how these audits work and how we can actually do some pre-preparation for an audit activity that would be more helpful to Nicole than it was, because some of this was a struggle to get some information there. As Nicole mentioned, this first audit covered 2023, and 2023 provided some unique challenges for us. The policy was in the middle of the year. We had some significant change inside the agency and inside the Distilled Spirits division during that time. And, as a result, Nicole identified that while there was tracking in place, it was incomplete, and we needed to improve that as a part of what we're looking at. To gather information for Nicole in 2023, it required us going back in time and recreating a lot of material that should have been tracked in real time, and we are now tracking it in real time. So as we move forward, that's not a concern on my part, but it is absolutely a recommendation that we agree with. I think in broad terms, there are two areas that are identified here that we're focusing on. One is consistency. We talked about the fact that we were receiving allocation plans from suppliers, and they were all sending them to us individually in their own spreadsheets or in emails. There was no centralized codified template for how this information comes in. We are now in the process of finalizing that template, and we will be getting it out with all of our partners in industry so that when these come in, everyone knows what it looks like, everyone knows exactly what it is, and we will have a centralized email location for it to all come in one place and all be stored in one place. The disparate location of a lot of this data was what made it so hard to compile for 2023. The second side, besides the consistency piece, is the reconciliation piece. Regular reconciliation is critical, and we talked about reconciling between shipping systems and distribution plans. And I would like to address that a little bit in a second, even with an example for you. I mentioned on the consistency side, we've already got those plans in place for a central email and a central template. On the reconciliation side, I'd like to just provide you an example, because when I saw those numbers, those were tough numbers to see. And I want to explain sort of why they might happen. If we had a supplier who had a new product they were excited about, and they had decided that they were going to allocate 1,000 of those bottles to Oregon. So we know we've got 1,000 bottles coming in. They are canvassing the agents and their locations, licensees, talking to them about interest in that product. And that of that 1,000 bottles, they make a decision that when that stuff comes in the door, they want to allocate out 600 of those bottles right out of the gate and have them very specifically assigned. So we put together a plan, as we talked about the distribution plans. That is the plan for the 600 bottles. But 1,000 bottles came in the door, and our systems right now are unable to bifurcate between one kind of category and another. So we bring it all into the warehouse under the guise of vendor allocated. So now we have 1,000 bottles of vendor allocated product on the dock, and we go ahead, we have our plan for the 600, we ship the 600, and then because the others need to go into inventory so that stores can order them, we change the status of those remaining 400 bottles to seasonal. So we had 1,000, now we have 400. And if we are to run a query that says, what happened to this product? Our systems say we got 1,000, we shipped 1,000, but we only had a plan for 600. And that's why you see some of the numbers that you see in an audit like this. And what it highlighted for us and was so helpful for us was to see the importance of understanding how can we bifurcate this data in our reporting and better understand the reporting so that we can be very clear. What was the vendor's plan? How did we change it? And what shipped? So that you can put all three of them right next to each other and make it very clear. So we're in the process of building that right now. We talked a little bit about the software and the modernization efforts for us. I'm very excited. I've been a part of the procurement process for that over the past few weeks. I can't talk about that because it's the procurement process. But one thing I can tell you is There are just so many solutions out there in the marketplace that are so far superior to what we have. It's just exciting to see what kind of reporting we're going to be able to get in place for all of that. So I guess in conclusion for me, I mentioned this to somebody earlier today. One of the reasons this was so easy for us is not a single manager, including me, in the distilled spirits supply chain was in their roles when this policy was implemented. And so for us, it's been a great opportunity to really nail down, wait, what was specifically the question? What specifically was the issue? And how do we solve it? And by going through this work with Nicole, it's really helped us to do that. And then I guess for me to close, in my mind, the thing that really puts my mind at ease is that there's absolutely no implication here that product was mishandled or mismanaged in any way. This is about reporting and reconciliation and getting those systems to match up so that as we move forward, this is just a much cleaner, easier process for it. So happy to answer any questions for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioners? Questions?
Chair, how much time between now and new software implementation? I mean, what's the timeline we're thinking? I know you got to go through the procurement process.
Yeah.
But what are we thinking?
Chair Doherty,
2024?
Commissioner Floyd, I would love to say that we are 12 to 18 months away from having that in place.
Okay.
I would love to say that. And so I'm saying it.
What would be the harm in, sorry, Chair.
Go ahead. Yes.
What would be the harm in, just for the purpose of tracking, just to allocate all the product to the vendor allocating? Because then you didn't know exactly where everything was, even if it wasn't, allocated as the vendors wanted.
Chair Doherty, Commissioner Porter, it's basically, you're highlighting the exact issue that we were dealing with. And that is our systems are set up so that vendor allocated product doesn't show up in warehouse inventory for the sake of ordering. So the system basically sets it aside as allocated. So if a store's ordering, they can't see it. And so that's the problem that we're having is in a perfect world, and that's what we're talking about right now, is can we create a category, for lack of a better term, that's called vendor allocated that wasn't really vendor allocated. So that's what we're trying to figure out is we can create that. We know in a new system, setting that up from scratch is easy. The question is, how do we do that in a system that's pretty fragile right now?
All right, so, and you're still on, right?
I'm still on.
You're still on. All right. Nicole, thank you very much. I so appreciate your work.
I am going to share some pictures with you because I like pictures. Okay. Great. Wanted to give you an update on the warehouse and where we are in terms of the construction there. Okay. I showed you some overview pictures last time. We're getting a little further into the schematic design where we're talking about this is the office space around the main entrance for the warehouse. Just we're working with architects on should this be dark colored versus a white warehouse or a darker warehouse and lighter entrance. So these are just the kind of schematic design drawings that we're going through with the architects right now. None of this is final, but we just wanted to show you that we're talking about the spaces and the lunchrooms and having a covered area for those break rooms for people to be outside and some of the, where are the walkways going to be? Where are the people, can people lock up their bicycles? Those kinds of things are all elements that we're working through. We're also working through the technical nature of trucks running in and out of the facility. These little blue and red lines are about space and accesses and things like that on how trucks can make these corners and what if two trucks are going through the same corner at the same time, all of those things, and how they get in and out of the distribution doors. We've also gone through and revamped. This is just one example of an office. I know it's tiny, so I'm not going to go into the details of it, but just Where are we literally going to have truck drivers walk into the building? Where will they go with their paperwork? Who will interact with them and through what kind of window? Is it a sliding window? Is it come in the door? Those are the things that we're finalizing right now. We're literally weeks away from having schematic design done. So we're very excited about that. We're also working on things like fencing and security around the property. For example, here, this is, I know it's a small, again, I apologize, but this is the maintenance area where we have our generator that will be outside of the facility. And we clearly want to have the generator inside the fence, the secure fence. Those are the types of things that we're finalizing now as well to get those up and running. We are in the process right now that we call schematic design. It's general overview stuff. It's helping to understand what's the power load for the building, how much are we going to need in terms of mechanical needs, water, those things. Once we move from schematic design, we then go into what's called design development or DD. That's where we get into the absolute nuts and bolts of where are the outlets. Where exactly does everything go? If we're going to use wireless radios in the warehouse, where there have to be repeaters on which racks that can get that information all the way to the back corner of the warehouse. That's the kind of work we're doing. So at the conclusion of design development, and we're thinking this will probably be in the September, October timeframe, we will establish what's called a guaranteed maximum price with our vendor. That really locks in a price. Now, there's a good and a bad to locking in the price. Once we've locked it in, if we change anything, now it becomes a change order, and change orders are expensive. So we're very pleased because we have been able to work with the vendors to move that guaranteed maximum price lock later in the process, because the later it gets, the more accurate it will be. So we're very excited about that. So I don't want, at times we've talked a little bit about when will the guaranteed maximum price be available? When will we have it? The fact that it's not going to happen until the fall is actually good news for us. It's not bad news. It doesn't delay the project at all. It's just when we actually lock down that guaranteed maximum price. And then when we do that, it also locks down schedules. So once we have schedules in place, we have them now, they're tentative, but then they really get locked down there, because then we've got forms being built on site and we're rolling forward. So that's my update for this month. Happy to answer any questions on the warehouse.
I like that. Thank you. I like you moving that, that date back so that we have more solid pricing. It seems like we're taking more control of the process than reacting to the process.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Chair, I got a quick question.
Yes.
This is something different than the warehouse, but Steve, we used to see this more on purchasing. About every quarter, we see a purchasing report. I haven't seen one come in, maybe I'm the only one, but we usually see, we approve trial listings, change orders, or status changes, I should say. We haven't seen one come through the materials.
Chair Doherty, Commissioner Floyd, and those are things that I'm not familiar with either. Maybe in my short tenure, I'd be happy to talk to the commission about what kinds of information you'd like to see. And we'll either get it back or get it in place and share it with you.
Yeah, we used to have, well, at the time it was Nikki Leslie. She would report to us all the new listings, trials. We would approve trial listings. We would approve status changes that would go from special order to trial and so forth. And we would approve all the new distilled spirits coming into the warehouse. So I haven't seen that come through in quite a while. I'd like to see it.
Absolutely. Chair Doherty, Commissioner Floyd, rest of the commissioner, I'm happy to share that with you. And it's information we have, so we can actually do that. We'll start next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a clarifying question.
Commissioner?
You saying sharing and I'm hearing approve. So I'm confused I'm great with sharing, but if we don't have a responsibility to approve, we shouldn't be approving. So I just want that clarification.
Yeah, Chair Doherty, Commissioner Hayes, I honestly don't know the answer to that, but that's one of the things I'll look into as we decide what we share and then what we need to run through an approval process.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was, I think, I know we made motions. The words confirm or approve of the new listings, that I don't know, but we would make motions on those new listings and status changes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm doing five or seven. Five.
Paul, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you gonna?
Excuse me, go ahead. Pardon? Pardon? You want a break? Is that what you said?
No, we were just talking about presentation. We usually give a certain amount of.
Oh,
time.
yes.
Amount of time for you.
That's right. Is everybody going to be on? Is there anybody here in person?
Here we have one in person and they're number 3.
Okay,
So the first 2 are gonna be remote.
okay. So they'll have 7 minutes to make their presentations as usual, and we'll give them a 1-minute warning.
Yep.
Is that okay with you, Paul, or did you tell them in advance because we, if they don't have, we can do 5 minutes, but if they've been practicing for 7, that's
Yeah, I believe they were advised by the district managers,
7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Okay,
And I
we'll
have
give them 7.
copies here for the handout.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Paul Rosno, currently serving as the Inner Retail Services Director, and I'm here in front of you today after a brief hiatus of store transfers with 3 today. Store 111 Bonanza, store 1129 Brookings, and store 1083 Palawa. And we'll start out with store 111 Bonanza, which is a temporary to a permanent appointment. So the agent you're going to hear from right now has been in the position for a while, since August of 23, and we're moving to move that agent from temporary to permanent. And I've got an actual copy of the presentation. It looks like he's online.
Welcome.
Hello. I think we've got the wrong person. We have a Will Hammerich online.
Yeah, he was like. Mr. Hanson.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, commissioners.
Is it Will?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we're going to give you 7 minutes to present. If at all we interrupt you during that 7-minute presentation, I'll make sure to press pause. Okay? I'm going to give you a second warning.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. My name is Will Hamrick, and I'm here with my wife, Erin. We really appreciate this opportunity. We bought the store in May 1st of last year, and basically we're handed the keys to the facility. Really kind of just jumped in head first, didn't know what we were getting into. We completely did a whole remodel of the whole facility. When we took the store over, there wasn't a POS system other than for the liquor. And so now that we've implemented a POS system for the entire all items in the store, we have over 7,000 items in the store. We remodeled everything from the new wiring, new plumbing, new coolers, new paint, new roof. The deli, there was a lot of cleaning. The building was built in 1932, and so there was some dust in there, I believe, from 1933 that we had to get out of there. So there was a lot of cleaning that had to be done. And when we were handed the keys, I didn't really realize how much work there was involved in just the liquor portion of it, with the inventory, the ordering, sales, documentation of all this stuff. So it was a fast learning curve, and I really want to mention Dave Owens has been so helpful in getting us on track and keeping us on track to make sure that we're doing the right thing when it comes to making sure our inventory is right and our sales receipts are right, and all those things. So basically, I grew up in Bonanza. I lived on a dairy farm and a hay farm, and I would go into that store about 3 to 5 times a day, every day. And I was thinking for the last several years what I would do if I ever bought it. And so when I bought it, I changed quite a bit. There was a drop down ceiling. We took that down and we repainted it. It's more of an industrial look in the building now. The building was originally the bomb shelter for the town when it was built in 1932. So we kind of went with that look, added new lighting. Where the liquor was at, there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was rum was here and it was next to tequila, and then there was whiskey, and now we have it all organized in vodka. You know, rum, everything has its own section. We painted the shelving that it sits on, so it kind of pops more when you walk in. We removed a lot of the clutter that was in front of it to give the customers more ability to see what there was for sale. Some of the customers didn't even know what there was there because of the shelving in front of it. Now we've moved that and we have some more, you can see much more what's available. So the whole process has been a big learning experience as far as reorganizing and getting the system from, you know, on a POS system away from the marking gun and all that. New heaters and new coolers, new freezers. So that's basically what we did. And there's you know, quite a bit to owning the store. We really enjoyed it working with our community and having the ability to show them, you know, order in other varieties of alcohol if they, you know, want it or what.
If they request it, yeah.
Yeah. So Karen, do you want to say something?
I think most of what we've done, we've tried to add variety and be more open to what people are requesting in the town and just providing a really big service, because we're the closest store that people can get to unless they want to drive 20 miles into Klamath Falls to go grocery shopping. So we try to keep produce and all that kind of stuff on the shelves fresh and just keep the variety big.
Yeah, and we all so we've added a security system in the building that there really wasn't one. So we've added security cameras so we can try to catch as much of what's going on with our customers. But the crew that worked for the gentleman before we bought it, we've retained all of those girls, and they've been very helpful in helping us learn the system as well. Because like I said, we just basically were handed the keys, dropped in our hand and said, here it is, learn it. And I didn't really realize what I was getting myself into as far as the amount of things that had to be taken care of on a daily basis. And truly, I enjoy it. We have a great time with it. We own a couple other businesses there in the community. And so we, you know, we really have enjoyed adding our little bit to this store. That's really all I have. If you guys have any questions.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it and appreciate your handouts here. I have a question. I didn't see how the liquor is separated from the other goods in your store. Is it a completely separate section?
Yes, the liquor's all on one wall behind the register. So we have that all separated together in one section. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. And secondly, I've seen a decline in the liquor sales over the last couple of years. Can you talk to that a little bit?
I feel that there's been a decline due to the lack of the ability to, the gentleman that I bought the store from, I feel that he had lost interest in his store. And so there was kind of the workers were managing it more than he was managing it. And so by us coming in and organizing the liquor and putting more, top shelf items in there and having it, I think that we've seen in the last couple months an increase in our sales from what they were in the past.
Great, okay, thank you. Commissioners? Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for your presentation.
Well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Chair and Commissioners, next up, we have Brookings for 11/29. This was due to resignation of the previous agent. This is also a temporary permanent appointment. So the agent you're going to hear from, Mr. Corey Hansen, has been in there since August of 23. And this also had one sole applicant. But we have Mr. Hansen pulled up on the screen here.
Mr. Hansen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Chair Doherty and Commissioners.
Perfect. We're going to give you 7 minutes on your presentation. If at all we interrupt you while you're presenting, I'll make sure to press pause, and I'll give you a 30-minute or 30-second heads up. We're up about at that time. That sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, hello, my name's Corey Hansen, and with me today is my wife, Haley. I would like to start off by telling you a little bit about myself and my journey. I'm a family man. With my wife and I, we have 6 children between us, 3 grandchildren, and our family is the most important aspect of our lives. We love the outdoors, outdoor activities, camping, hunting, riding our side-by-sides are some of our favorite things to do with our friends and family. My journey began about 9 years ago when my wife was appointed temporary agent of the North Medford liquor store. 6 months later, she was appointed permanent agent. Working with Haley and learning from her the day-to-day operations of a liquor store made it possible for me to be here today. Everything I am and have accomplished is because of the love, knowledge, and and the belief that my wife has in me. So I'd like to say thank you. Back in mid-July of 2023, when District Manager Dave Owens came to my wife and asked her if I'd be interested in applying for temporary agent of the Brookings Liquor Store, we were both excited. We knew that this would be an opportunity for us to have a second liquor store. We knew it wasn't going to be easy, but where there's a will, there's a way. It was a whirlwind to meet the requirements in such a short amount of time but we made it happen. When we reopened the store at South Coast Liquor on August 18th of 2023, we had a vision of growing the store as much as a little town could support. We first started by expanding our operation hours and days. The old hours were 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, closed on Sundays. The new hours are 9 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and 9 to 5 on Sundays. We then started with the outside of the building where we had it painted. We changed all the signage from green and black and white to red with white lettering to make it stand out. The next thing we wanted to do is add a security system with 8 new cameras, 2 TV monitors, 1 in the office and 1 above the counter so the employees could see everything in the store and what's happening in the parking lot. We knew that with the expansion meant bringing in more product. And with that, we had to move and add gondola shelving, creating a better flow in the store. We had our Coca-Cola rep change out a single door cooler to a 2-door cooler. I also brought in 2 new 3-door coolers to expand the beverages. With the expansion to date, we have added over 40 new related SKUs, beer, wine, and mixers, and over 55 new liquor SKUs. With the expanded hours and growing inventory, sales are growing every week. South Coast Liquor may never be as large as North Medford, but with baby steps, we hope to grow a little each year. As far as long-term goals at South Coast are as follows. With increased sales, we thought of removing 2 walls on the interior that would possibly open up 100 square feet of showroom space. Therefore, more inventory increases sales. In closing today, I'd like to thank the commission for taking the time and giving me the opportunity here today. I look forward to learning more and being more involved with current and future endeavors with OLCC. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. That's excellent. I love the remodeling that you've done there. It looks very sharp. Good place to go. And I've also noticed what you've done has been pretty impressive. Your sales have increased. I don't know when you bought the store, but they've been increasing each year. So congratulations on whatever you're doing. It's working.
Well, thank you.
Commissioners?
Again, a lot of that is a big part to my wife with the experience that she has been a big help.
Yeah, well, you always get the smart people involved. That's what you need to do.
Yes.
Commissioners, any questions here? Thank you very much for your presentation. That was excellent.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, last up, we have Wallowa. That is store number 1083. This is due to a retirement, and this is an actual appointment, not a temporary to perm. And we were notified this morning that the applicant has the flu and wasn't able to make it. However, we do have Ms. Schaefer's manager here with us today in person who will take over the presentation for her. So unfortunately, I can't speak to her name, but I'll let her.
Please come up.
Hope you didn't drive up this morning.
Okay. I left early this morning.
Oh my gosh.
My name is Ina Mae Dempsey. I am her right-hand person. I've been with Becky for 28 years. She's had Wallowa Food City for 30 years. Last weekend, I got sick. I think I started this. So I'm being punished. I've been sent to you.
As we back away.
Well, mine was the whole last weekend. And then I had another employee Monday afternoon say she didn't feel good. She was out Tuesday and Wednesday, and last night Becky was running a fever.
Oh my.
So, Mr. Chair, we're hoping that you will let me present the presentation. I can probably answer any of your questions. The PowerPoint, I'm 60 years old and I've never done a PowerPoint. So it was a 6-hour process. The email was a little vague on it had to be our PowerPoint. So we took all the pictures, Becky and I did, and we figured out what we wanted to say on them. And then we find out from Grant that it has to be a PowerPoint. Well, I've saved everything in a PDF format. So we go and buy Microsoft PowerPoint and we can't put the JPEGs directly in that we had. So it was just one problem after another. So first of all, I need your permission. Am I allowed to do the presentation?
Absolutely, please.
I sure
Please
didn't
do so.
want to.
And I think you should be, you get a raise for driving all the way up there. And doing
Yeah, 3 o'clock this morning.
it.
Becky Schaefer has owned and operated the store for 32 years. We are open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Have a seat. Sit down. Okay.
Becky, I've got to give you the same spiel you've heard. Yeah, 7 minutes. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay. My name is Ina Mae Dempsey. I'm the manager of Wallowa Food City. The current location is only open 6 days a week, so we would be able to offer an extra day, and we would also be open more hours than she's currently open. We are currently only closed for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. We have a reader board out front of the store. Now you'll notice that your printouts, like I said, they're a little bit different because those we already had printed when we found out we had to do the PowerPoint. And I really didn't want to waste all the paper again. So the words may be in a different place on the pictures, but everything's there. So we can use the reader board that we have we can advertise the liquors here now. The vintage wooden sign that's at the current place can be moved and placed up by the door, the entry door. And she also has a liquor flag out there in the sidewalk, and we can drill holes in the sidewalk and put those there. That's a closer view of the front door. We've got some nice planters planted already for the spring, and we've had to roll them inside once because last week we had snow on Tuesday and 80 degrees on Saturday. So we have lots of the We Card signs up and the alcohol warnings with pregnancy. We have those all over the store, and that just kind of gives you a closer view of that. Aisle 2 will be the section for the liquor. The check stands are at the far end for the groceries. There will be 9 sections for inventory. We already have a camera for security in that aisle. There will be a bell at the entry end, and the end that we're on this end will be blocked off with shelving. So it'll be a one-way in, one-way out, and that will be on the check stand end. This is the view of check stand 2, so you can kind of look back and see the liquor area in the background. Both of our cash registers, our regular grocery cash registers, are programmed to card the person if it's beer, wine, and tobacco. We were hoping to integrate it, but we found out that won't work, so the liquor will have its own POS system. But when you're doing that new software, that's a really nice thing that should be added, in my opinion, because it does slow the clerk down. She has to enter the birthday. Note all the We Card signs and posters up there by the B. There's the one, and they're on the bottom of the. One time we got in trouble for not having enough lower posters, so we've got the little low ones so the kids know that they can't be doing this. So there's a calendar on the lottery tickets there that says you have to be born before this date. So my checkers and the clerks are already used to carding. The magazine rack, when you come in, we've thought about putting a new glass case in there because we just don't sell magazines much anymore. People don't read as much from paper. So it would only have access from the single shot size. But just this last week, we came up with another idea for the little airplane size that might be a better idea. So it's not in the presentation, but I'll touch on it a little later here. One case that we looked at was this one here that somebody had that's $400 to put the pints and the airplane size in there. These are the signs that are located in the beer section, making sure that we have all of our, I was gonna, put new ones up, and I thought, no, because then everything looks like I just went and did it. So I just left the tattered one there, pregnancy and alcohol don't mix. So we already are used to trying to educate our customers. In the office, there's a board keeping track of the training every 3 months. It reminds us not to sell the liquor. I put a little notice up and tell everybody to do the review, and they put a new little date. If you zoomed in, you could see each one is dated and how often they're doing the reviews. We already have wine and mixers in the store. We've been downsizing the coffee section so that we could get it down to 3 sections to put it on the outside of where the store will be. We are really good at our inventory control. So the coffee will move down to aisle 7. This is aisle 7. There's 3 sections there that are kind of empty. We're just kind of filling it up with stuff, kind of waiting to see if this is going to happen because the current person wants to be out by May 31st. So we've kind of had to try to do a lot of stuff now, even if we don't get it. We've done a lot of cleaning and organizing and sprucing up. On the north end of the aisle, where the liquor would be right around the corner there, we're going to take that out. It's not even considering. That will come out of there, and a counter will go in that will hold the liquor store POS system. Okay, this is the back side of that aisle. There's a coffee machine there. So all across that, there will be 3 sections. One where the coffee is, one to block the aisle, and the other sections so that my vegetables can move out of the liquor store section. And that will make that aisle 2 completely empty. She currently has 8 sections of liquor. This would give us 9. There's the new home for the new coffee machine. It's quite happy there by the restroom. This is our back room storage. It does not have a lock gated on it at the time, but it's easy to put a gate on it. It's a 4-foot wide section, so there's plenty of room to get deliveries in and out. There's food roller there, and the styrofoam trays might stay because I really don't want liquor above the girls' heads falling on them anyway. So there's room for 5 sets of shelves back there for extra additional storage. That's our back room. I included it just to show our organization and low back stock. We get groceries twice a week, and we try to keep it nice and neat and tidy, and concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. And you've had some good growth also over the last few years.
Yeah.
Why do you think?
We, I can't tell you the real reason.
Because you're working there.
Because we give our customers what they want. When customers are asking for stuff, especially in a small community, when I have one customer that's a full-time customer that passes away, I have to watch because I know that Russell's milk that he always bought 3 or 4 a week of, I'm probably not gonna sell it now. So when Russell went away, it starts outdating, that product goes away. And that's how a little town works, you know? So-and-so died. They're not gonna be buying that now. And they're the ones that bought most of it, you know, that makes them kind of minuscule to supermarkets. Becky's been there 30 years. And like I said, I've been there 28. And most of that time, we've been an all-woman crew.
Oh.
We have had a few men come and go, but we're just too tough.
That's why. That's why the success.
There we go. The other part of that success is there used to be 2 grocery stores and I was bound and determined that we were going to be the one that survived. And when the Super Walmart went in LeGrand, which is an hour away, we knew it was going to kind of put a strain on us. So whatever it took, whether it was me changing ballasts in the fluorescent lights, me getting the fluorescent lights replaced with the LEDs so that we have a cheaper power bill. When the toilet needed changed out, we didn't hire a plumber. We did it.
Right.
Because you have, in a small community, like I said, the nearest Walmart is an hour away. We looked at this in 2020, when Ron Gay was going to resign and Russell Ford took over this store. We almost applied then, but it was during COVID, so it really wasn't advertised that much, and we really liked Russell, so we thought, yeah, he should do the liquor store. And then when he got ready to retire and Kathy wanted it, we're like, well, let's let Kathy do it. Well, then the last year, we found out our little community was going to be inundated with a Dollar General. My milk sales have gone down by about 2/3. I've had to cut the milk way back. Our sales aren't guaranteed in a small company. We're not corporate. We don't get corporate pricing. So if I can't sell milk, maybe we'd like to sell liquor.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that we've looked at and talked about ever since we heard it was coming, and it's been open for 2 months now. And we've definitely seen a difference. We still have our loyal people, but in a small community, you need 2 or 3 jobs. I have a different job in the spring so that she can cut my hours back, and I'm a licensed tax consultant. I do taxes January, February, March, April, and she cuts my hours way back. And that way it saves her money. It's survival of the little store.
Wow.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
You don't actually have the liquor in your store, just.
No, that's why we just had the pictures of aisle
I
2
got
and it's
you,
got
I
the
got you. I
coffee.
see what you're
The
saying.
liquor is it's in the next block, so it's like half a block from us. And we're farther away from the school than she was, so,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
yeah, we're a little bit farther away. It's right now, it's a standalone, and she's got a little bit of Pepsi and beer, and my vendors have been really excited to hear that we were applying because they said it's really hard to stop and just leave a little bit of stuff there. So when they're already coming to us, they're like, oh, if we don't have to stop there, that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. And then I gave Becky the fever.
Thank you for your effort
Yeah.
and thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
So much for being here in person.
Well, I was really hoping you'd let me talk because I was like, well, I was gonna be the driver and just your support person, but I can do it.
Yeah.
Really
Thank you for letting me
Appreciate it
talk.
very much.
You're darling.
Very well done.
For all your efforts.
Very well done.
Here,
Commissioner?
given that there are 31 applicants, each store that has been approved, I mean, as far as coming to us, that they meet the requirements, if you reviewed all that material, would it be okay to move forward with motions?
Absolutely. I think we should. I would entertain them. Well, we want to do them individually, I think. Is that correct? Yeah, I think we should. So,
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
Names in order.
1 second, my motions here.
Chair,
Commissioner,
I move to appoint William Hemerick as the permanent agent at store 1111 Bonanza, effective May 2024.
Your second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Take the roll.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter, Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Melidas,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. The cooking store, number 1129. Your motion.
Chair, thank you. I move to appoint Corey Hansen as the permanent agent at store 1129 Brookings, effective June 2024.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? You take the roll, please.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter, Commissioner Hayes.
Yes.
Commissioner Melidas.
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Chair Doherty.
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to do the Wow store. From being from Pendleton, Eastern Oregon store, I just want to give you a shout out. I was worried if that you drove the farthest of anyone here, and I was hoping that you had driven this morning, but we appreciate the effort, and we appreciate, I know PowerPoints aren't your strong suit, but you learned to install toilets and do PowerPoint presentations. Your taxes. So, I'm familiar with the sewer location. We stop there often, especially going to Chief Joseph Days. So I moved to appoint Becky Schaefer as the permanent agent, store 1083 Wallowa, effective May 2024. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? We take the roll, please.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yeah.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter,
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Melidas,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren, Chair Doherty.
Yes. Okay. Stipulated settlement agreements. Who's going to present that?
Chair Doherty, can I make a one comment? Just, I think today, I just made some notes. I think, Paul, how many agents do we have throughout the state? 285?
Bouncing 285, 284, depending on who's open or not, but yeah.
Yeah, so, for the new commissioners, everyone though, this is designed this way, I think it was Jennifer, you said, how efficient is it to have these smaller vendor allocated? The control model, you got $1.7 billion of liquor throughout the state every 2 years. So the 23-25 biennium. We trust the local level to make sure that minors aren't being sold liquor, that we've got visibly intoxicated people are not being sold liquor. And that's what I loved about these presentations is because they're a part of the community. This is not a warehouse that is impersonal. It's focused on making sure that that environment in that local city is one where people can make good decisions and that we've got people who are part of the community helping regulate that. So just a perfect example. I just wanted to make that comment.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Have a, no, they're going to present, they're going to describe it to us, right? No, we're going to go in now. All right, so the commission will temporarily recess its public meeting to discuss proposed stipulated settlement agreements from contested cases under ORS 183.417 and is authorized under ORS 192.690. Should take about 30 minutes. Okay, we are reconvened.
Good morning, members of the commission and Chair Doherty. For the record, my name is Catherine Yarns and I'm a case presenter with the Administrative Hearings Division. I'm presenting 2 alcohol settlement agreements and 1 license restriction agreement for your ratifications. I'm available for any questions.
Questions?
No question, but on the Icon Lounge, just wanted to mention those restrictions are not based this should reflect negatively on the applicant. They're based on based on just the neighborhood, correct?
That is correct.
For the record.
Okay, so we have two stipulated settlement agreements, is that correct here?
Uh, And one license restriction.
And the license restriction, okay.
Would you like a motion?
Yes, please.
Chair, I would like to, I move to ratify the two stipulated settlement agreements as proposed by staff.
A second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Commissioner Chowry?
Yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yeah.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yeah.
Commissioner Japon Porter? Commissioner Hayes?
Yes.
Commissioner Melinas?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Chair Doherty?
Yes. Then we have the licensing violation stipulated settlement agreement. May I hear your motion, please?
Chair, I move to ratify the stipulated agreement for Icon Lounge as proposed by staff.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Take the roll, please.
Commissioner Chowry?
Yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yeah.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hayes?
Yes.
Commissioner Melinas?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Chair Doherty?
Yes. Okay. So be it. Thank you very much. Well, very well done.
Thank you very much.
Did we behave ourselves for you?
Yes, you did. I appreciate you all.
All right. All right, now we have Nicole Lazay. Talk about some temporary action, final action on some rules.
All right, good morning. Confirm the time.
Yeah.
Good morning, Chair Doherty and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Nicole Blase, and I am the Rules Coordinator for the OLCC. I'm here to present two rulemaking actions for your consideration today. The first is a temporary action for the 2024 hemp implementation. Section 2 of 2024 House Bill 4121 directs the OLCC to develop by rule, a methodology to distinguish whether a cannabis plant is marijuana or industrial hemp for purposes of sections 1, 4, 5, and 6 of this 2024 Act. The methodology must include testing criteria and cannabinoid concentrations above which immature or mature cannabis plants are presumptively considered to be marijuana. This is essentially re-implementing Section 41A of 2021 House Bill 3000, which was repealed January 1st of 2024. In 2021, OLCC adopted OAR 845-026-4100 to implement that section. OAR 845-026-4100 was repealed January 2nd of 2024, following the repeal of the statute it was implementing. Commission staff proposed to re-implement substantially the same provisions that were previously in OAR 845-026-4100 to enable presumptive testing of hemp crops in the 2024 growing season. And I have staff joining virtually if you have any questions.
Questions? We'll have a motion then for the 2024 hemp implementation package.
Sure.
Commissioner,
I move to temporarily adopt OAR 845-026-4110 effective May 17th, 2024 through November 12th, 2024.
move to second. Any further discussion? Please take the roll.
Commissioner Chowry?
Yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter? Commissioner Hayes?
Yes.
Commissioner Melinas?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Chair Doherty?
Yes.
All right, excellent. And our next and final action for today is a final action for the late representative contested cases rule package. ORS 183.452 allows an agency to represent itself using lay persons instead of the Department of Justice where the Attorney General has consented to the representation of a particular matter or class of matters. To use laypersons in contested cases, an agency must adopt a rule authorizing a representative to appear on the agency's behalf for authorized matters. The commission needs to make technical fixes to align the lay representative authorization for commission employees to represent the agency in contested case hearings and rule with the authorization provided by the Department of Justice. In addition, the commission needs to make a technical fix to delegate the authority to issue all final orders by default to the administrator. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I would then entertain a motion.
Chair,
Commissioner,
move to amend OAR 845-003-00, sorry, excuse me, -0331 and OAR 845-003-0670 effective May 17, 2024.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Cherry,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
Commissioner Floyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Japon Porter, Commissioner Hayes,
Yes.
Commissioner Melinas,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Yeah, yes, sorry.
Chair Doherty.
Yes. We are adjourned.